Ladies and gentlemen of the Council of the Wise, my name is Trollumbo the Wise. Obviously, that's a real name. And this video is gonna be an obligatory video about why atheism is not a religion. Yeah, the gods of atheism told me to make these videos now. Ooh! Stay tuned. I have to say that I've read up about this, but I can't get into the mindset. I can't understand why religious people, some religious people, obviously can't say that they all want to do this, but some religious people want atheism to be considered a religion. Why? What does that change? If you take the definition of the word religion and stretch it to include atheism, then you're not changing atheism in any way. You're just changing the definition of religion. Kind of meaningless if you ask me, but hey. Is it gonna change something legally for atheism? What is it gonna make atheism get churches and stuff and make them tax exempt? Atheist church! No, sorry, lame joke. I don't really get the mindset behind that, and if you do, well, let me know in the comment section below. I don't even think that atheism is a full worldview. There is a difference within the interpretation of the word religion. If you look it up in the dictionary, I've looked it up in multiple dictionaries, some of them say that for something to be considered a religion, it needs a set of principles, and it needs a deity, a personal deity. Like a god. But a god, it's like a personal god, like the Abrahamic gods, for example. Some of the interpretations of the word in a dictionary, some of the interpretations of the word religion in a dictionary, just broaden that a little bit and include like non-personal gods, like for example Spinoza's god, which is like the universe to some extent. Yeah. Then there are some even broader interpretations within dictionaries that state that any kind of worldview that has some spirituality to it or some supernatural belief could be considered a religion. So basically people who believe in gods are to some extent religious. They're deemed, if they don't believe in gods, they could be deemed as religious atheists. So I think that word is used from time to time. Religious atheist is used for people who believe in supernatural stuff, but not in a god. Yeah, it's used, so I think that last interpretation is used in real life as well. But then there's another definition that I've found in no fucking dictionary ever. And I've looked through 5 or 6 it was more like 10 dictionaries. Some on the internet, some actual dictionaries, and I couldn't find any interpretations that could begin to describe atheism as part of that definition. No. Here's the problem. Atheism isn't even a full worldview, it's part of someone's worldview. When you say, I'm an atheist, that's saying, I don't believe that there is a God. It's not saying there is no God, because you can't actually claim that. Yeah, you could say like you could be a hard atheist or something that really goes against religion and tries to get religion to be abolished, and also say that there clearly is no God. Or you could be somewhat agnostic, but also an agnostic atheist is a term that they often use to describe someone who says like, I can't prove that there is no God. Or the chances of there being a god are slimmer than the chances of there not being a god, or something like that. Because if you take into account all of the variables, you could say, well, there might be a god, but you can't know what that certain god wants, because, well, where are you gonna go for it? Are you gonna check those subjective books that we talked about earlier? Yeah. So, it's not a full worldview, that's what I said, because there's nothing linked to it except for the fact that you don't believe in a god. That's the only thing that atheism states. Now you could be saying like, oh, atheists believe in science. And that is technically most atheists don't have a clear-cut like creation story like the Bible. They depend on science. Most of them do have some interpretation of how the world got started. But not all atheists do so. Not all of them believe in science. So science is heavily linked to atheism to some extent, because a lot of atheists use religion to get an understanding of the world around them, but not all of them do. Some of them have their own weird interpretation of whatever the world is. Some of them might be scientifically like supported, might be some weird other like branch of science. I don't know. Some might use some kind of other metaphysical. Like I said, there are religious atheists. Yeah. Here's the thing that's also not included within atheism. Dogma. Set of moral rules. All of that isn't included. What is a set of moral rules for atheism most of the time? Well, just the law. Just you follow the law. You can disagree with some laws, obviously, and you might want to put in some action to get some laws changed over time. But laws are the closest thing that comes to a set of moral rules. Then you have your own moral set of rules, obviously, that you create. You don't do certain things. Some atheists are vegans. They don't eat dairy products and they don't eat meat because they put animals on the same level as they put human beings. That's alright by them. That's another set of rules. Then there are people who don't drink alcohol, who don't do drugs at all. Don't do any of that stuff. That's a subjective moral rule that those people have. You could say, oh my god, people are just making up their own rules because blah 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 blah. No, people are making up their own rules through their experiences in life. You weigh something against another thing. It's like, I drank too much last night, now I have a hangover. Am I gonna just continue on like this? Am I gonna stop drinking? Or am I gonna find some middle ground, something like I usually do, and just see that I don't drink too much? Just drink enough to enjoy myself. Yeah. For me, the middle ground is always the best thing, but hey, moving on to nothing. I think we've had it all, haven't we? What more can I say to prove that atheism isn't a religion? There's people speaking for atheism, like I'm doing right now. So I'm kind of closer to taking it somewhere that could be religiously. I don't know. If you could say that some atheists are like worshipping others atheists, like turning them into priests for atheism. You could say something like that. It doesn't really make that much sense because it doesn't really come from the atheism itself that they follow those people. You could be an atheist that says like, fuck everyone, I'm just doing my own thing. Then you don't idolize anyone. Also, why should we say that idolizing is equating something to a religion or equating someone to a priest or something? Doesn't really make that much sense to me. But if you have answers for these questions, you could just type them in the comment section below. You could troll there, you could talk to other people, you could say stupid stuff like I'm a banana, stick a toothbrush down your nostrils, I don't know, whatever you want to type. You could also type like fuck a midget's ears. I don't really care what you're doing there. If it's funny, I'll reply to it. If it's not, I'll also reply to it. If it's interesting, I'll reply to it. If it's a question, I might want to answer it, or maybe I say like, this is an interesting topic for a video. Send. Something like that. I don't know. Do whatever you want, because the comment section is free. Free for you. Oh no, free for you, free for you, free for you, free for all. That's dangerous. Fuck. This has been Trollumbo the Wise, signing out. Telling you to wisen up, people. And if you don't believe in a God, then you say you don't believe in God, then language comes from humanity itself. It's something that was invented by humanity to make communicating, and therefore surviving as well, that much easier. It's a product of evolution. It's a product of the chemicals in our brain.